God, you know us as no other, and you love us just the same.
You know the reality of sin that holds us captive, and are willing to step into our reality with mercy and forgiveness. Forgive us.
God, we give you our thanks and praise that you hear our honest cries and our heartfelt prayers.
Thank you for your only Son, Jesus Christ, whose birth, life, death, resurrection, and ascension forgives our sin and sets us free from the power of sin and death. We praise you. We worship you.
Let us pray the prayer of the day together.
God, allow us to live for you and love you with a deeper passion each day. Lead us into those spiritual practices that nourish our inner lives and transform our daily behaviors. Give us an increasing ability to comprehend the breadth, length, height, and depth of your love for us. Amen.
The congregation may be seated. Before we hear our scripture today, Psalm 13, I want to talk a little bit about the sermon series that we are on right now. We began with last week as an introduction. As I mentioned before, our sermon, our resource that we used in our liturgy, the call and response that you do, the themes that we use for our worship, they come from Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in Minneapolis, and we often refer to it as the toolkit resource. And one of the things that this sermon series is going to focus on is about how we love God and how we are called to love others. And they're using a special focus of up, in, and out. And Prince of Peace Lutheran Church has undertaken the same training that I have been going through for the last 10 months. And that is through the organization called Three-Dimensional Ministry, or 3DM. And I've been attending, I attended two workshops, and every Friday morning I am on a conference call with other pastors from across the Prairie provinces who are in this same process of training and being coached by Pastor Ernie Hinojosa. Pastor Ernie led our workshops this past year. At that time, he was the assistant to the bishop of the North Carolina Synod in the ELCA in the area of discipleship and mission. And he's just recently taken a congregational call to Dallas, Texas. And so in the midst of this training, the focus is on discipleship and mission. And the idea being that as a leader and as someone, any of us, who wants to lead others into a deeper relationship with Jesus, that we need to be discipled first. I just couldn't go just do a workshop. I can do anything I want, of course, and I have other kinds of training. But within this program, the idea is that I am discipled first. And then I invite others into that. It's an interesting movement that's afoot. And I think it's God-inspired. And I want to share this little 3-minute video with you that will tell you more about 3DM.
Can we have the lights down, please?
Thank you.
Before we get to the future, let's talk about the present. Church attendance in the United States has been falling generation by generation over the past 50 years, and more dramatically than you might imagine. 65% of the builder generation attends a church service each week. With the boomers, it's 35, Gen X, 15. And among Gen Y, the oldest of whom turned 30 in 2010, only 4% are in a church service. Many people hear Gen Y and think teenagers, but many have married, bought homes, had kids, and have done everything we traditionally believe will bring people back to faith. And it hasn't. 4%. Wow. But maybe to understand the present and live in the future, we need to look at the past. The church tomorrow will find itself in a cultural climate not unlike the early church, that is, in the minority, and not at all unlike that which the church in England found themselves 15 years ago, 1995. 8% of the country could be found in a church service on Sunday. It was in this environment that a church called St. Thomas at Sheffield, outside the cultural epicenter of London, started to experiment with doing church differently, missionally, putting discipleship in the center, looking less like church as we've seen it, and more like a movement. Within 6 years, they had become the largest church in the UK. The movement spread to other churches in England. They saw tens and hundreds and thousands of people begin to follow Jesus. The movement spread to other countries. In the past 2 years, 500 churches have been planted across the EU. This has never been done before in European church history. There is a renewal taking place in the church right across the Atlantic, and the movement has made its way to North America. Many of the senior leaders of St. Thomas Sheffield have been called to the U.S. to help American pastors prepare for the future and, with their experience, begin to imagine a different kind of church. 3DM is the expression of this movement in the United States. In the last 3 years, this reimagining of the church for the 21st century has spread to mainline churches and evangelical churches, to 65-year-old pastors and 25-year-old pastors, from Seattle, Washington to Richmond, Virginia. Our communities are being transformed and are exploding with life and vibrancy. We are megachurches, church plants, and everything in between. We are Baptists, Lutherans, Presbyterians, Episcopalians, non-denominational. We are brand new churches, 200-year-old churches, rural, suburban, urban churches. We are a movement of churches learning how to thrive in the future. We are 3DM.
Utilize life shapes to help explain scriptural truths that we engage in our personal life and in congregational life. So, when I say life shapes, I'm talking circle, square, triangle, octagon, those types of things to help conceptualize the scriptural truths. And the three-dimensional aspect, when they're talking about that, is the life shape that's called the triangle. So, up, in, out. The triangle is about our relationships as individuals and as a congregation. Up is our relationship with God, loving God. Our in is our relationship with family and friends, those who are like us, those fellow Christians who share the same root of faith that we do, the part of loving our neighbor. The out is our relationship with the other, the ones who are not like us, the ones who do not know Jesus. And it's a lifestyle of balance in our relationships, a balance of up, in, and out. And Jesus is our